me. It's me. It is Mr. G. Monday of week 6. It is methods of criminal investigation. My life is somewhat calming down now. My wife was here over the weekend getting the last load of stuff coming from this house over to Savannah to get her all decorated and moved in and fancy and all that kind of stuff. I'm wearing my Rebel Alliance t-shirt today. If you don't know what that is, I'm ashamed of you, but yes, I'm a member of the Rebel Alliance. So thought you would enjoy that. I'm wearing it. So what have we done so far in methods? Well, last week we did what? DNA, right? I gave you some really hooky stuff about DNA. A lot of craziness to think about and those kind of things. And this week, what I'm going to go into is just investigation, interviews, which is primarily what we think about when we do this, is the interview process. And I'm going to tell you, most of what you see on TV is wrong. Most people do not do interviews correctly. And we use the term interrogation, and I can tell you that term is not a good term for what we need to be doing in law enforcement, nor what we did or what I did in the federal government. A better term to use is elicitation. And what is elicitation? What is it to elicit information? Well, to elicit information is basically just saying you're going to gather it, but it's in a non-aggressive way. And normally, what you would like to do is, or what I used to like to do is, I used to like to go into a room with somebody and sit down and conduct an interview with them and elicit information and have them walk out the door, and those people never realized they gave me the information I was looking for. If you can do that, you've won. That's really what you want to do. And you have to think, especially with criminal investigations and homicides particularly, the human psyche is not designed in a way to be able to contain those types of acts. We're not natural born killers of each other. It's just not what we're supposed to do, and we don't. Our psychological makeup doesn't help us retain that well. So when you go in to interview somebody who's committed a homicide, most of the time people think, oh, it's going to be so hard and all that. And if you conduct it right, those are the easiest interviews in the world to get, because innately, meaning inherently, within our psychological makeup, there's a need to regurgitate, to throw up, to get that, just like if you eat bad food and your stomach starts feeling bad and you want to just get that bad food out of you. Well, if you commit a murder or a violent crime or something like that, your psychological body is the same way. It wants to get that information out, and it wants to throw it out there and get it out of its system. That's why you hear a lot of times about people who commit murders going to bars and this and that, telling friends and all that. You think, man, I would never say anything. Well, a lot of times they get a little bit drunk, and it's just their body throwing it out. It's a natural psychological reaction. So what am I getting to? Well, what I'm getting to is, when you go in to interview somebody, what you want to do is just create an environment where they are talking. And there used to be an old adage of "Ye who speaks first loses," meaning if you're interviewing somebody and you're doing all the talking, you're not getting information. And the more you try to convince them to give you information, the more time you're giving them to think about what they're telling you. So you don't really want to go in and do like you see on the TV shows, where you have all this bantering back and forth and this and that and everything else, and try to get information. I used to have a process I would use on new interviewers, and I used to train it in the federal government. And I had a deal where I would send somebody in, and they would just be in regular clothes, dressed. And typically, what I like to do is, let's say, and this is why I'm dressed this way today. I'm using it as an example. Say, for example, you're interviewing somebody, and he comes in a Star Wars or anime or whatever T-shirt. Well, the best thing to do is use an interviewer is try to emulate them to an extent. Now, you have people argue with you, say you need to show the upper hand and this and that and all that. I'm going to tell you don't, because the fact that you're walking in that room to interview them tells them that you're the person in charge. But if you can make them feel comfortable, it's a strategy called mirroring. If you can come in, if they're wearing a Star Wars shirt, if you walk in wearing, yes, a Rebel Alliance shirt, and you're not wearing this tie and dress up suit and a badge and a gun and all this kind of stuff, then you're opening them up. And I used to send people in, and I would tell them, you don't, especially my people say, I don't know how to talk to people, I don't know how to communicate, whatever. Well, you don't have to communicate. I used to send people in with a notebook, and I would tell them, go in, sit down with a notebook. And all you have to do is ask that person a few questions where they answer you affirmatively, meaning they're going to give you correct answers to what you're asking. And you go in, you sit down and say, before we start, do you want something to drink? Yes or no? And they're going to tell you. Okay, great. You can go down and say, what name do you want me to call you by while we're in the interview? And have them give that and write it down. And then you can ask them, is it cool enough in the room? Okay, all right. And then I would normally start by, okay, well, while we're here, so tell me whatever's on your mind. And then sit back. And they can talk about Denver Broncos football if they want to. You just have them talking. And when they finish saying that, you just pick up with one of a few phrases. When they stop talking about Denver's Broncos football, you just say, and you sit there, wait for them to start talking to you. You don't say anything else. And then when they start talking again and then they stop, you say, okay, continue. And then they'll start talking again, and when they stop, you can say, what else? And then you just keep that process going. Every time they stop, you throw out an and, continue, or what else. And then at the end, when they finish telling you everything in the world they can think of to tell you, they're going to point you, you'll know, because they'll pull their hair out, they'll get angry. I don't have anything else to tell you. Okay, is there anything else you would like to say? And then I tell you, I get confessions that way. I've got confessions to things you would not believe that way, because people innately want to talk, and they're going to continue to talk until you stop them. The key is you don't want to react to what they're telling you. If you go in there and you say, okay, well, we have you here, just tell me what's on your mind. And the guy goes into molesting his sister. Well, when he gets through and he stops and he pauses and he looks at you, you say, okay, continue. You have to maintain the same positive demeanor to keep that person talking. Once that person feels like they've what we call it constructing a barrier, once they feel like they've started to construct a barrier, they're going to pull back on what they're telling you. But as long as you're reacting in a positive to them, you're not overreacting, you're not showing emotion, you're not calling them a dirtbag, you're not doing anything. You're just getting them to, because that's all you're there for, right? You're not there to judge them. That's going to be for the jury. You're not there to condemn them. That's going to be for Jesus one day. You're there to simply get them to tell you the truth. And so when they start getting into things about what they've done, and they start talking about maybe what they've done to people, crimes they commit and all that, you have to maintain your demeanor, continue with the same positive reactions, and not go into this struggle, debate, anger, all that. Keep going into the same thing, and continue, and what else. And I can tell you that I used to get some of the same type of confessions just doing that kind of interview that people would get on a polygraph. And to the extent where they thought I was making up my interview results. So they started recording my interviews, and then every interview I did for a while, they had to validate on a polygraph to find out that it was working. So then I had to start training the way I interviewed people. And it really does work. You don't have to get overboard on that. And so this week, you don't have a lot of video assignment this week. There's only 2 videos. However, one is a 45-minute documentary on the offender that I'm having us look at this week, and the other is almost a 3-hour copy of his confession. And I know it's kind of rough because that puts us, like I told you, I'll try to stay around 4 hours for the week in video to kind of emulate the class time we would spend. This week, I want you to watch the documentary first, and then I really do want you to watch that whole interview process. And yeah, it's like 2 hours and 40-something minutes. But I'm going to tell you, the interview that's in there is probably the best criminal interview I've seen conducted. It's handled extremely well. The interviewer in this case is amazing. He conducts it exactly the way you would want to go in and conduct an interview. He doesn't build any barriers. He's just there, and he lets the guy talk. He's not correcting the guy. And just watch it, because that is, and then say, I want you to keep this video in your mind, and I want you to go back. This is one of those videos that I would say go back and use this as a reference. If you go into criminal investigations, you're about to go interview somebody, and man, just sit down and watch this interview for a little bit, because it is as good of a job as you will ever see. So that's going to be it for this week. We're going into criminal investigations. We're going to go into the methodology of it. I'm going to post a little bit more lecture stuff, and I may give you some stuff that's just optional that I want you to look at. But for right now, I want you to spend your primary time. First of all, watch the documentary about the case first. It's 40-something minutes, so you'll understand what's going on in the interview. And then watch the interview and just watch how it's conducted and watch how it's handled. And really, really does a great job. And it's a Canadian investigator doing it, and it's really good. And I'm gonna throw out some stuff on the discussion board to tell me what you feel about the interview style. So it's already given it away to you because it's really good. But just tell me what you think about the interview style and the way it's conducted in the discussion board. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be posting some stuff into the week just to supplement this. Any other videos I post are going to be optional as to watching their full content, because I'm trying to keep it around 4 hours, and I really got you right at 4 with these 2 videos. So watch these 2. I'm going to throw some supplemental stuff in there. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm going to post some more lecture stuff at the end of the week about interviews and just things I've done and things like that. And then next week we're going to, I said this week we might do a test, but next week we'll probably do a test. I'm going to tell you, I'm not a big test person. We got to have them. I'd rather you guys just focus on learning the material I'll put out. But I'm going to throw out a test so we can do it, and then we'll go into midterms, and we'll get the midterm test out of the way. And then we'll do another test in between midterm and final, and then we'll do the final. Okay? So if you have any questions, let me know. Everybody's doing pretty well in the classes. I have some people that need to up their participation a bit. You're not in here quite enough. So pick it up. Let me know if you have any questions. Keep looking, because I'm going to post some more stuff this week. And I will talk to you later. Thanks. Have a great week.